Inside LAFC is back. Here we are, episode 19. Where is Vince? I am what?
Still Vince.
No, but that
nice
face.
to meet you.
Hello, Vince LaRosa.
I got a little bit of a beard going, I think.
Did you not have that volume of a beard?
No, it just keeps going. I'm just feeling it out.
Yeah. Speaking of beards, very underrated hard rock song. Are you familiar with the Orange County band Fu Manchu?
Yes.
Weird Beard?
Yeah.
That's a great jam. If you want to get fired up in the morning, I highly recommend listening to Weird Beard. Did not think I was going that direction.
Right. Well, when you say beards and you say rock band, ZZ Top.
ZZ Top.
Two frontmen from ZZ Top both have beards.
And
the drummer's last name is Beard. Does not have one.
He's got to grow a beard.
All right, we better talk about soccer now.
Yeah. I have a friend who downloads YouTube. That's his favorite thing to do. He likes to have a couple beers, and I go to his house, and he shows me ZZ Top videos. I kid you not. I should not have admitted that, but I would crush him. I go, what are we doing? Let's go out. And he goes, look at this. He loves ZZ Top.
I want to be friends with that dude.
ZZ Top, underrated band.
Oh, I love ZZ Top.
Hey, we want to keep it very positive here because I think everyone's is beginning to recover. And before we get into our breakdown of the LA Clásico, El Tráfico, the LA Derby, the 110 freeway, McGillicuddy, the Good Timers.
Carpool Classico.
Something will come out of all of this, of all the clutter.
Let's just call it the Derby for now. You and I, for reference now. I'm not calling it El Tráfico at any point beyond what I just said.
I just want to say that on the way to the game, and I went the day before to record some stuff, I got hit by some serious Tráfico, if you know what I mean. On the 110 and the 405 and the 91, all around there, it was some plenty Tráfico. So
yeah, the 405 is not
coming out of the blue. It's not coming out of the blue. There's a lot of construction around there in that spot. Torrance, Carson. All right, so just want to remind you to subscribe to Inside LAFC because you get great content like this. We steer you in the right direction with regards to ZZ Top and where to avoid traffic in Los Angeles. But subscribe, leave us comments and reviews. We certainly appreciate it. It had happened. I said it was going to be 4-1 LAFC. I was wrong.
Yeah.
We did try to keep our heads down on this because we just didn't know.
Well, what did we say going into it? We just could not fathom a situation where if both teams played at their best, that LAFC would lose this game. Unfortunately, the situation was not both teams playing at their best. I mean, I think the Galaxy absolutely probably their best game of the season, easily. I mean,
I would say Zlatan's performance, maybe a top 3 performance in the MLS. Let's just leave it at regular season that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It was just really impressive.
I mean, in terms of stone cold sheer finishing and just being brutal and every...
demoralizing a club, knocking Latif to the ground, pushing people around, injuring people. I'll steer clear of that. But everything he wanted to do, he did after saying it.
Yeah.
That is, as much as it hits you in the pit of your stomach, that's pretty big time from Zlatan.
Yeah, I don't love it. It doesn't.
You don't have to like it. You just have to accept it.
It doesn't make me feel good. Although I will say this, the people that are so surprised by this, I know that that's the big story. Like, were you surprised that Zlatan backed up his trash talking? It's like, no. I mean, this is kind of what he does. He trash talks. I think I can't remember who, somebody on ESPN FC brought it up. He trash talks in order to pump himself up. Mm-hmm. He needs his own challenge because he's his own best friend, worst enemy, everything. I mean, he loves himself some Zlatan. And so that's what he does. And is it impressive that he's able to pull it off? Yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, he's a top 5 player. I mean, some people were getting into it and saying he was a top 3 player in the world had it not been for Messi and Ronaldo. And I would say, no. Pump the brakes. Ronaldinho, people like that.
And people are critical of Lionel Messi's international career. Zlatan's international career is
not great.
It's bad. It's bad. And in his last run, it was, Sweden looked great without him.
Sweden has played some of their best football without Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Just take that and consider that down the road. But yeah, and even club, I mean, down the road, he wasn't like winning things. He had his great performances like he did this. It's like, it sometimes feels like a bit of an outlier, but
yeah,
he has put up great numbers at Major League Soccer. You cannot deny that.
Great numbers everywhere he goes. I mean, PSG was almost a goal per game guy. I mean, that's what he does. But does he necessarily carry his team to the greatest of heights? No. Look, he had his fantastic streak of league titles
in Italy, and
caveat being it's from Ajax to Juventus to Barcelona to AC Milan. I mean,
Wasn't
look,
exactly signing a contract with Sampdoria.
yeah. I mean, and the one team that he goes to United. That's one team you would say like, well, yeah, if you can lift United, who was in a little bit of a down trough, to a title. He did a little, but they didn't make it, and he gets injured. Then you say, okay, you come to the Galaxy, who are in a down trough. You can lift them. Oh, they crashed out the last day of the season, couldn't make it to the playoffs. So he is yet to prove that in the places where like he has to be the main fulcrum of the team, for the most part, that he can do it. And again, he is 37. So I think Matt Doyle brings this up multiple times over the past couple of days. This is not replicable. He's not going to score a hat trick against every team. And we've already seen he's not scoring hat tricks against every team.
And just to reiterate what we said earlier, it's LAFC. LA Galaxy were in a real predicament. They were starting to hemorrhage. And we were thinking, like, there's a chance for LAFC to apply that fatal blow, which I would have thought, if the Galaxy losses, would have put them in a position where they really could have slipped up the back of the playoffs. Really could have happened. And instead, they fortify themselves in second. So it's a huge result on that front. But I guess we could talk a little bit about the play and how did you see it? I mean, and I know you've crunched some numbers, and I'm gonna walk you off the ledge a bit and tell you why this was in the big picture a good result for all parties. But how did you see it? Because just off the naked eye, we saw guys that we thought were stone cold steadfast really struggle. Eduardo Atuesta, Eddie Segura, Mark Anthony Kaye. They weren't able to do what they did, and it kind of dictated things into the path of whatever the LA Galaxy's game plan was.
Yeah, the intensity of the Galaxy and what they want to do. I mean, their game plan is intensity, is aggression. Second balls, anytime you're a team that plays for second balls and basically says, we're going to bang with you, we're going to muck up the game, we're going to disrupt it, and then we're going to try to create something out of it, that's automatically going to take LAFC out of their game because that's not the way we play. It's not even the way we train, really. I mean, we train, obviously, to be a tough team, to be aggressive, but it's hard to get in the mode of basically then wrestling a game back. And I think that's the kind of the nuance, that's the point of LAFC that even Bob Bradley brought up after the game that they still are kind of lacking, where if a team comes and says, we're just going to punch you right in the mouth, we're not here to play football, we're here to just do one thing, how do you say, okay, I'm going to block that, and then I'm going to pick it up and bring my game to the next level, carry this game into somewhere where they can play football? That didn't happen. And some people want to see LAFC say instead, screw it, screw the football, let's just scrap. I would say 21 games in the season, we've seen that football is the way forward with this team. So I don't necessarily agree that all of a sudden we should start making big changes for one match. I get it. It's the derby. I get it. It's your rival. But we have to still look at the entire season. And I think that might be part of your point on why this could be the best thing that could happen, right?
Right. I will say this because as during the game, as it was 3-1 for the Galaxy, I started getting texts from some people who are within the industry here, calling games or with the club. And I got it. Some people going, I got it. Yeah, relax. But I got one that kind of hit home. He goes, now's a really good time for LAFC to get somebody at the Galaxy, come in hot and heavy, take a red card, and leave a calling card. And I was like, that's not LAFC's thing either, but got me to thinking a little bit.
That person was English, right?
Not English, but
okay.
Not far away. But it was interesting. But it was I got it. I was like, no, you can't do that. But there's something about a guy dictating it that's kind of the response in sports. It honestly doesn't happen. The guy I think as close as Mark Anthony Kaye who kind of get in there, he was out of the game by then. But is that something that should be done here?
I almost feel like that plays into what the Galaxy want, right?
I think that's fair, Vince.
Like they still want this because at the end of the day, like you light a guy up, you're red carded. Yeah, in the moment you probably feel pretty good, but when we face them again in a month's time, what do you remember of it? I don't know. It's kind of like it's very American, very like the baseball vibe. You throw at the
unwritten
guy
rules of baseball
and hope that he remembers, or even hockey. They get in a scrap and they pick it up the next season completely.
I agree with you. I wouldn't have hated it though if I saw it that game.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been totally against
we were all
it.
in a very visceral state of affairs.
Yeah, we were all upset. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think Bob put it perfectly when he said we didn't have enough guys that had a good game.
And I was looking at
and they had a lot.
There was like,
I mean, Zlatan.
Everything's been said now, but there were guys, and there was some talk. I think Matt Doyle said it too. It's like, okay, we're going to take away what Carlos Vela does. We're going to take Eduardo Tuesta, and other guys will have to come up. And that game plan, if it was so cut and dry, it worked because Diego Rossi had open space. Didn't do much with it. Mark Anthony couldn't make those connections that Atuesta did. Atuesta couldn't make them either because he was receiving a lot of attention. They went to the other guy, whoever it was, and it seemed to have success across the board. But the list of guys who didn't play, because that's the one we always said, if Carlos Vela doesn't have a good game, there's other guys that will come up, and we've seen it time and time again. We saw it at Houston the other way. Dio had these great these goals, and by the way, that Houston game is vying larger and larger, because imagine if that was a tie or worse, a loss. That Mohamed El Munir play that was a loss. You have Portland loss, this one, and this.
Yeah.
Things could change, obviously, but imagine what we could be looking at. But Dio coming up big, but no one came up. No one had that moment. No one, you were like, it was like, save me, help. No. And that's going to happen sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, on the balance of things, I had a tough time picking out more than one guy that I really thought played well. I thought Carlos in moments played well. I thought Dio in moments had some ideas. Tristan Blackman was the one guy that I could probably look at and say, like, he had a good game.
He was given the license. He was given space because there was times he was in the final third.
Right.
But, that's maybe not the guy you want in LAFC, but those options were taken away.
No, maybe not the guy you want, but that's what you would say. Look, if the ball has to keep moving and it has to go to the next guy, and that next guy then has to make the play because one guy is too, is too occupied with something, then yeah, he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's taking advantage of the opportunities that are presented to him, and too many guys didn't. I mean, Mark walked off the field and we could see it visibly upset, and I know why he was upset, because he did not have a good game, guaranteed. And
certainly the time being pulled out too, it speaks volumes.
When you're pulled out in that moment of the game, it's kind of saying it's just not working for you. We got to get a guy in there with enough time that he can get up to speed and get into the game.
And Lee came in and was
good. He was starting to pick up spots. I would say game state changes that a little bit. When you're behind by one, you can kind of start to do that. But Mark had chances to dictate the game, and just we didn't find it. Also, they're bypassing all the other things that Mark does. Mark is able to press well. They had no. I was sitting next to you, but also on my other side we had Jeff Parrish, who's our graphic designer. And there was one point in the first half where the Galaxy kind of moved the ball around their back line. I go, just get it over with. And Jeff goes, what? I go, watch, long ball. That second, long ball. And Jeff goes, what do you mean? I go, they have no intention to build from the back and play through the middle.
A little fakey.
I mean, these people, look, I think Jonathan Dos Santos had a very good game in recoveries and putting pressure on LAFC high up the pitch. But these people that are saying like, oh, he's a hub. He's really dictating play. He's spraying balls around.
Good.
Okay, he's sending long balls to Zlatan just like everyone else. Don't give me this. He's dictating the pace of the game. Had a good game, but the game plan was this: move the ball until you can get into an area where you can hit your target man, and then everyone run off of him. And I thought besides Zlatan, Alvarez, I thought was a fantastic player.
From the people I speak with the Galaxy, they were getting very frustrated with Fabio Alvarez. They were getting, where is this? This is a guy on loan from an Argentine club, Atletico Tucumán, that they wanted to get going, and it hadn't happened. And then I'm sitting there watching and go, oh, he's getting it going now, this guy. You got to be kidding me.
Think about the Argentine league and the direct play and the physical play.
Yeah.
Maybe this was the game where he goes, oh, this is my type of game. This is what I want.
Yeah, it did appear that way. I'm going to tell you why this is a good thing, but first of all, everyone is talking about and by the time you hear this, maybe something has happened with Zlatan with regards to the league office and the elbow to Mohamed El Munir. Maybe he doesn't get suspended. Maybe he does. The week's still going to play out here. I just will speak on this, that the images that we saw of Mohamed El Munir with a dent on his head and even worse, the X-rays where his face was broken.
Caved in.
It's caved in. Not only is it horrible to see, but maybe I overreact here. But from what I know, I mean, this is the kind of thing that could be life-threatening in that part of the head. So this is a very serious situation, and I hope the league handles it with intensive care for what it is. And I mean, from what I saw, there was a look over. It looked like something that deserves a suspension, and he should be suspended. But whether it happens or not, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a point when protect yourself becomes excessive.
Yeah.
He knew where he was. And
there's two lookovers.
He knew where he was. Part of it is, he's protecting himself, but there's a point when you then go on the offensive.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you can't say to me that Mohamed put enough force in his jump that he would run into Zlatan's elbow. Because if you're protecting yourself, your elbows are there now as more of a defense mechanism. You got to cock your elbow to break a guy's face like that.
Yeah, anytime these suckers come up, and if you're just listening, I'm putting up my elbows. That is the alarm sign for referees. You just got to say, you almost have to run over there and knock his elbows down and say, do not lift those things. All right, I'll touch on really quick and tell me what you think. This is the reality. LAFC, Galaxy. LAFC wins this game and they pull way ahead of everyone. The Western Conference chase really becomes obsolete, which is fine. I will say this. That's good for me because I'm planning on going to Austin City Limits, and there's 2 weekends in October. And the first weekend's the last weekend of the regular season, so I don't want to go because we have a game. I want to just go for Friday. I want to see Guns N' Roses and Tame Impala and the Raccoon Tours. But I'm not going to see for the whole weekend. I just want to go Friday and see a friend who lives in Austin. But I'm trying to hold off for the next weekend, but I want to make sure that LAFC has a bye. And I'm pretty sure if they had that win, I would have bought my tickets this week knowing that they would have had a bye, even though they don't. But now I have to hold off my travel plans for a couple weeks.
We need, do it for Bredo's shirts.
Yes. It's a 9-point lead, right?
Look, guys.
It could have been a lot bigger, but now I'm like, all right, I got to wait for my tickets. But
there's obviously big ramifications in getting the top spot. You win the Supporter Shield, most likely. It's going to come from the West. You get your bye. But
more importantly.
But the third thing, you got to get Max Bredos out to Austin City Limits. We got to get the stories.
It's a big trip. I'm taking my wife, my friend, my other friend, Max. We have like 5 Maxes at LAFC, but I have another friend, Max. He's going to go, and my friend Jaime lives there, and I'm very excited. But 9 points, I can't pull the trigger. So I'm going to go one of the weekends, but I'll have to come back sooner than I would have liked if it's that first weekend.
It makes complete sense now why you were totally distraught after the match. Probably just staring at your phone with the.
It's all about me.
Was your phone out and you had the button just like confirm tickets and you just sat there and like one tear dropped down?
And I hold off on this? I mean, that weekend, if they're in the bye and the West and everyone else is playing, that's a perfect weekend to go.
You're a popular character at, I was about to say StubHub, Dignity Sports Health Park.
I practice it so much this weekend that I actually can say it now. Dignity Health Sports Park.
Dignity Health Sports Park.
But
I don't mean that to be rude, but it's a mouthful.
I think they should call it Dignity Health Park. But look, that facility is fantastic. You know, regardless of how you look at Carson, it has a lot going on that it can house an NFL team. It still feels like a soccer stadium with 27,000 seats. It has a tennis court / boxing ring where they can do all sorts of events. They have done everything. I imagine they've paid off that place already since they built it. And that should be saluted because that's what you want. That's what everyone wants. That's, they want a Banc of California Stadium. They want to pay for that building. In order to do that, you got to have events in addition to soccer. And they have a little more leeway where they can do so. They had the X Games there where they put it in the mud.
Oh, yeah.
And they had the cars going. I think that's a little excessive, but
hopefully never happens at Banc of California Stadium.
They refurbished the front. It looks nice, but
a press box where I could actually put my legs.
Yeah. The press box is a little mismatched, but I like the
made for humans.
Yeah, but anyway, it was
tacos were good there.
I like it. It's very close to me as well at Redondo Beach. So I'm holding off on the tickets for now. You had a good time. It was a good time roaming around there. It's nice to know you don't have to. I
had a good time. It was good seeing some fans out there. I mean, we had quite the collection of fans. I actually want to bring this up. One more thing. I know there was a lot of talk about the camo, and
about the camouflage.
About the camo, and I thought about this more, and I thought about all the talk on the internet. It's not for you. I don't understand the people that are like, the camo's stupid. Yeah, you're not a supporter of our team, and you're not part of that supporters group. Try getting your supporters group of your team a day or two leading before to all come in camo and to all be as uniform as they were. Try it. And if you can do it, then that should be saluted. That's what they wanted to have fun. They wanted to do their thing. If you don't like it, you're not part of the supporters group. You're not supposed to like it. I don't think there was. Look, there's obviously a line. Okay. Like you do something threatening, you do something rude, whatever. They came in camo.
It's fine.
And you didn't like it.
I just want to say this. I have a bad history of camouflage because in 1988, this is before I went to Florida State where my football interests are.
I was 4 years old.
The University of Miami had the Fiesta Bowl. They were number one. Vinny Testaverde, and they played Penn State, and they all showed up in camouflage. And the place was like, are you kidding? This is the players, obviously, not the fans. And it was an embarrassing loss for Miami. So I saw that, and I was like, oh, my God, the camouflage. It's like, but
so that worked. You're saying
it did not work. Miami lost.
Oh, okay.
But so when I saw cameras, I go camouflage 0 for 2 on my watch. But I will say that, some people I've spoken to in the media circus, like, what's for the camo? They didn't like it. And I get it. It is for the fans. But that's also a reflection of the club. And I would like to say, with the 3252 have treated me like $10 million everywhere I go, embracing, very respectful, and just wonderful. Make me feel like part of the team. So their stories have to be told, and they're great. And I know some people who don't know the 3252 get some preconceived thoughts on the fan group because of the camo. So it makes it a little harder to say that. But I will continue to scream from the mountaintops how great, salt of the earth, the 3252 and the LAFC fans are. I'm just saying, from their perspective, and I heard it a lot from the media, they're like, oh, what's this camo stuff? It looks like you're coming to war, which was kind of it is, but it's sports. So it needs a little repair work for me to talk about it. But it shouldn't be that way, but that's the reality of what I had to deal with. And
right,
sure
so preconceived notions aside.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But if they were to all come in Hawaiian shirts.
You know what I thought they should have done?
I mean, I would love to see it.
Wouldn't it be cool if they all showed up as like the Blues Brothers? Is that too dated? Like,
that'd be cool. Me and you would like it.
Let's talk to them. Yeah.
I mean, we would do it.
Like Magnum PIs.
Look, all I got to say is this. Clue us in next time so we can be a part of it.
I want one of those shirts.
But I'd
be wearing one of those shirts right now.
Right. The only thing that just really bothered me was the fact that I get it, the preconceived notions aside, but the thing that really bothered me was like, yeah, you're not supposed to. Like I said, you're not supposed to like it. And again, try getting a group of people with all different ideas, all different backgrounds, all different, just concepts of how they should show up to a game. Try getting them all to buy into one thing. I mean, there's places where supporters group can't sit together.
Right. Look,
I'm just saying.
In the big picture, it was electric there, and I was just blown away. I even tweeted, I go, you don't feel it, because what LAFC did, and the Galaxy's are rather tepid, they get loud, but not like that. That lifted the LAFC, the LA Galaxy fan base. And to see that back and forth reminding me of what you see in Italy. You see the two cities. I don't want to say it's Milan, but we see Inter and the two fan bases communicating. Mm-hmm. That's really cool.
I've covered multiple MLS Cups there, and so have you. Have you ever heard it louder than it was?
No, that was never. The LAFC, and you have to give it the LAFC element. I mean, the MLS Cup, sometimes it was no two teams. I've been there where they had the Galaxy were playing, and it was festive and intense, but not like that. That was,
it was something else. And that's one of the reasons why everyone's taking notice, from big ESPN to outlets around the world to people that had no idea, like, this is what soccer, this is what MLS can be like. Yeah. This is what MLS can be like.
It was top story everywhere, overseas as well, and I guess the social reaction to different interviews with Zlatan and the posts and it went through the charts, and that's a big deal. So MLS took advantage of that. I knew we'd go longer on this segment. I knew it.
Yeah.
So we'll tighten up at the end. But I just want to say this is good because these two teams play again next month. They get a chance to shut down Zlatan at Banc of California Stadium. It keeps the Western Conference alive. It makes games exciting, which is great for the league. And I think it keeps a little fire under LAFC too, which I think is really important because they are locked in knowing that the big thing is not to beat the Galaxy. The big thing is to win MLS Cup. And this sort of interaction, I think, will help them in the big picture, because once they get to the postseason, it could be one and done. You got to be ready for a bad performance like that. It's over. You got to know what it feels like and what you got to do to change it. So all this is disappointing, but for LAFC, for the league, for the Galaxy, for everyone, for the TV, for the social media, this is great because it accentuates the second game here and potentially another game in the postseason, possibly.
Yeah, it's not something you can't come back from.
Yeah, it's got to do it though.
I mean, it hurts really bad right now, but we go again on Friday. I mean, this is the way it goes. We go again. And we move forward. I mean, I think we're going to talk more about it in the upcoming segments, but there's a lot of positives.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different talking points that we can go from here. And I think we put a pretty good bow on.
Right. So we are going to talk about it. We're going to talk a little bit more. And I'm going to ask you.
Well, we were going to talk about it. And then I got your opinion on it. And I was like, oh, now we're going to spar. Let's do this.
We'll be right back on Inside LAFC. And we're going to talk about, is it time to get the transfer market moving here? For LAFC to bring in some fresh blood like they did last year throughout the season. We'll talk about that next. Back at Inside LAFC, we wanted to keep this separate from our opening segment because there might be the prospect of us arguing, which doesn't happen a lot. We got to argue more often.
Fisticuffs.
Because when we're very contrarian with each other. Like when we're off here, we're like, oh yeah, we just avoid those topics. But we need to find those topics head on.
Yeah, we come in here way too much and go buddy when we don't.
It's
normally.
usually contrarian stuff about stuff outside of LAFC.
Yeah.
Like about the Champions League.
I feel like you just lob grenades my way and see if let's see what Vince thinks.
Yeah, like
then when you get a rise out of me, I think you love it.
Here's a good example. Like I was like, careful. I have a feeling Curacao is going to run with the United States in the Gold Cup. You're like, no chance. I saw them at Banc of California Stadium. They are a bunch of ham and eggers. He didn't use that expression. That's for me.
Yeah, we never.
And I was like, yeah, we care. There's something, and there was, and that helped the U.S. get to the final. I think.
I'm never going to live it down.
But we got after it. It was like, oh, no.
That Curacao-Jamaica game was quite possibly
worst thing you ever seen.
The worst match I've ever been to in person.
That's Jamaica's fault.
It's both their fault.
Jamaica laid an egg. They're ham and eggers in that tournament.
The forwards in midfield were literally thinking, we don't play defense.
You're looking
and we
out
don't
there
chase
go,
the ball.
I could run in this game.
I know. I was about to go downstairs, find Peter Lee, and go, get me in there.
I'd love to see it in the Jamaican colors coming out. All right, so, I mean, people have been talking about it since LAFC has parted ways with Andre Horta about bringing in the third DP. The way LAFC was going, there's no reason to rush into anything. You may not have let's be honest, right now, your best, your number one target DPs in LAFC, when they're going, they're going to look for a guy that, like Diego Rossi, like Andre Horta, where you have to break the purse strings a bit here. Top name target may not be available right now. And he could sign him, he may not be able to come down the road. So that's all part of it. But is people getting impatient? We've heard what you've had to say about like where you should get the upgrade, but I'm a firm believer not rushing in for that DP. But I think the Galaxy result and the Portland result has told me maybe there is time for someone new to come in. You have a lot of players. You're waiting on a lot of players to see if they could produce. Certainly a Zelaya, Fito Zelaya comes to mind. You know you have Lee Win, you get him more minutes. And I'm not sure where you get it, but I just know the effect it had last season and with many clubs. Maybe you don't get a DP, but maybe you get somebody to come in. Maybe you do get the DP, because look, you don't want this season to go to waste.
I feel like you're hedging your bets now. You initially said
maybe you do get.
You initially wanted the high level guy, right?
You're not going to get Antoine Griezmann or who are these guys that we're being binded about?
Gareth Bale. Not happening.
Gareth Bale.
You wouldn't want. Okay. You don't want Daniele De Rossi, and I love him.
You don't want that. Him. But is there a guy like a Diego Rossi or someone in South America that you could use as your DP? Because I would imagine that's the direction the club will go for, because they've had success. We've said it in the past with Eddie Segura and Eduardo Tuesta. Maybe a little more high-profile guy like a Rossi that can come in, who's young, who you can kind of get in the system now, who can give you a pop at the second half. Because the big picture here is you're hanging with this group now, and maybe a little something will help, because you can't let this season go to waste. This season, it is MLS or bust. It's no more year two. You've had such a historically good season. If you don't win MLS Cup, it is a huge, it's a huge disappointment.
Yes.
Can you mix it up?
Can you
bring somebody in?
I think you can bring. Well, look, the finances are what they are, and I believe Will Kuntz. Will Kuntz said this in an interview with StatsBomb. StatsBomb podcast is great for people that love numbers. I would highly recommend it. Please check it out.
I have not looked at that. You told me to.
I told you to check it out because both Bob and Will Kuntz were on their podcast, and I think for people that want to get a deeper dive into how we play, kind of the philosophy of the club, it's a really good listen. But Will Kuntz in that podcast says that there is some flexibility within the salary, that they can do some things, and he said that aside from the DP, when we talk about flexibility and we talk about DPs, that's kind of off the table, because that is already outside of the salary cap, right? Now, so I think that there is movement that can be there. I would say that this is not even going out on a limb. There will be a left back that will be coming in now that Mohamed El Munir is hurt. I mean, you only got Jordan Harvey in that position. I'm almost going to guarantee that there's going to be a left back that's going to come from somewhere. Could you get a TAM guy? Could you get someone like that? I do think that that's something that they were looking at prior to this match.
They are. They've got all. They're 3 or 4 steps ahead of all of us, and certainly maybe 5 or 6 ahead of me.
And Taylor made this point to show how good LAFC's been, and I think you can change it in different ways to remind people. But we've been playing with only 2 DPs this whole time, anyways. And yes, we lost this game, and again, it hurts. But look at where we are. Look at the pace that we're setting.
Okay, but if you're playing with 2 DPs and you have this historic season, and you can start to feel that MLS Cup coming into view, do you loosen that reason? Say, all right, now's the time to play with 3 DPs. In
your mindset, though, are we a team that plugs in a guy and all of a sudden he makes this great change to the team, or are we a team
play.
Yeah. Right.
Well, the MLS Cup is still a long ways off.
It is, but in the course of actually integrating a guy into the team, I don't think so. Look, any guy that's going to come in here, I'm going to guarantee you is not somebody that they found yesterday. Right? We've been told that multiple times by John, by everyone, over and over again. I mean, they talked about Dio was somebody that they knew about before they even had the expansion draft.
He was already on their list.
Put out feelers and tried, and it just did not come through. So guaranteed that anyone that they're looking at, they've been looking at for a long time. It's not like John wakes up one day and goes, "Oh, I better get on the phone and get myself a superstar player."
Yeah,
they're in contacts. There's ways that there's intermediaries, there's scouts, there's all these different things. I just somebody said to me, "We got to bring in a DP," and you know it's true. And I said,
Milli Vanilli?
Strong take, and I like it. Bring the heat. But I said this: if more than two guys would have had a good game against the Galaxy and we still lost, I would agree with you. But when I look at it and say I almost call them Mark Atuesta because they're so just interchangeable. Mark Anthony K doesn't have a good game. Edward Atuesta doesn't have a good game. Diego Rossi doesn't have a good game. Dio doesn't have a good game.
Everyone, really.
And you might not believe in those players the way I do, but I know what they're capable of because I've seen it through this season and last. If those guys play up to their abilities, we still don't need a DP, which is crazy. And I know that it's counterintuitive to what everybody wants, and you almost want that
guy.
You want that extra bit of sauce. But I'm just saying, if you're saying we fully swung and missed on Andre Horta, which I know Taylor said that, and I should have challenged him on it. I don't think we fully swung and missed because if all accounts are true that we have some kind of percentage on the sale, if Andre goes to Portugal and does great, that's not a full swing. That's not a full swing and miss, is it? But if you're of that mind that we swung and missed on a DP, which okay, fine, I agree with you.
Is Andre going to blow it out in Portugal? I don't know.
He might.
Maybe.
He seems very comfortable there, and the Portuguese know how to sell players. They do.
Do you still follow him? I follow him on Instagram. Did you follow him? Still follow him? I stopped following him. 100%.
Yeah, I think I did.
I just want to say that because it's weird to go through that process. Yeah. It felt weird. I go, hey, look, I
like
feel great for him, and I hope he does well. I don't need to see photos of him at Prague.
Yeah, it's like a breakup.
It's a breakup.
You got to move on.
It felt weird. I just want to let you know.
Doesn't mean like a few months from now I might not scour his Instagram and just kind of look at some posts. But
we should have a conversation for a future podcast about breaking up on social media with athletes.
Yeah,
because we've all done it.
But this is not a team that plays hero ball. Do you want? I'm just saying, like the types of players that I'm hearing that people want, and the reason why they wanted to be DP is because they're like, we want to dunk on people the way Zlatan dunked on us. First of all, finding a Zlatan is very difficult. I mean, that's not a given. It could be Gareth Bale for all I know, and he's not. Doesn't mean he's going to finish those chances that he finished against us. I mean, those were bona fide world class. Oh, the first one for sure, world class finish. There's a handful of people in the entire world, against MLS or not, that can pull that finish off.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, do you want to bring in a guy that might unsettle things, might need the ball all the time, like Zlatan needs the ball all the time? He doesn't do.
I agree with you 100%. It's not going to be like that. Even if it's the beginning, the end of the season, and they want their desired DP, I would be stunned if it's a guy, maybe a little 31, 32.
That's a super high usage.
Yeah. I think, listen, this is another thing. I don't think anyone's talked about it, but you need to find a DP because you almost have to hedge your bets with Carlos. Carlos is doing great right now. But what happens? What if he's doing so great he goes somewhere else? What if he doesn't do this great the next time? And you need that card. You might be looking for a guy like that again because you've got to not only be good now, but you got to look forward to next year and 2 years and 3 years. It's a long-term play.
And that's long-term play. But I would argue everyone's telling me we need a DP because they want to win tomorrow.
Yes, and you need to do that too because I think based on that season.
But with the team that we have.
But it's not going to be a DP like that.
With the team that we have, we can surely win tomorrow and we can continue the pace that we're on, right? So, look, if they bring in the long-term guy that they say to me, look, we've been looking at it, it's a young guy. He's a center forward that presses well. He links up. He can play on the half turn. And we think in 3 years' time we're going to sell him for $20 million or more. Fine. But if you're telling me bring in, again, I'll just keep using Gareth Bale. Bring in Gareth Bale, Anton Griezmann, just because we need them.
And his $25 million
we need to dunk on the league. Then that's the completely wrong approach because, and this is another thing. This whole big game thing. We don't play well in big games. Okay, lose to RSL in the playoffs. One off, big game. Yeah, didn't play great, but they still only had 2 shots on goal. We weren't able to win. We lose to Portland this quarterfinal. that performance, I think, was even more impressive than the Galaxy's, because there was one point where we didn't have a shot on goal in the first half. And then obviously we lose the Galaxy, who's your rival. But did we not have a big game when we went to Portland? We smacked them in the face. Did we not have a big game when we beat Portland last year in the quarterfinals?
What about?
You seem to forget the other big games that we had. DC.
DC. That was the game of the year. Remember, it was first in the East, first in the West, and LAFC undressed them.
Hey, that win in San Jose is not looking too bad now. I mean, it wasn't a big game then, but I'm just saying.
I don't know about that one. They were a work in progress.
Okay, well, what about even the first game of the season? You go down a goal to Sporting KC. Now, look, since then they've had tons of injuries and they've gone through their whole debacle with CONCACAF, but you could also say they were ahead of the game because they had CONCACAF at the height of where they should have been, and you come back from that. Is that not a big game? I'm just the selective memory of what is a big game and what is not. I feel like you got to continue to look at the whole body of work, and that's why, to me, when someone just get a DP in here, I don't see it. Yeah. I just don't. So you're wrong, Max.
Okay. Well, yeah. I probably am. By the way, I think the next DP, if you ask me, I mean, I always like to look, and I don't know anything. I don't pry. I just get the idea. But I look in like the Argentine league and the Uruguayan league and the Colombian league. And just look for those good young players. Do research on who is it, because maybe it's there.
I'm not
Stop
saying
looking at Gareth Bale.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not fun.
Maybe one of these River Plate guys. We don't have an Argentine. We have Uruguayans and Colombians, a Brazilian, Salvadorian, Mexican. Why not an Argentine?
Yeah, the guys from that league are expensive. They don't always work out. Look, there's just so many factors.
Okay. Well, we're going to, if something happens on Friday night against Atlanta, I'm sure the community that wants activity in the transfer market will be even louder than ever. So we will preview that game, a game that is, LAFC's been great in getting a bad taste out of their mouth after defeat. They look to do it again at home. It's going to be bonkers as LAFC is back against the reigning champs. We preview that next on Inside LAFC. We're back here on Inside LAFC. It's Max and it is Vince. Subscribe. Because we have great guests. We had Taylor Twellman. I thought that was really nice. We had John Thorne. We had this is a rare time where it's just me and you again.
I know. Taylor came in here.
Lauren Terry in here talking about the Women's World Cup.
I got a bunch of compliments about having Lauren in here, and it's funny because
I got one too on Twitter.
Yeah, Lauren was terrified. Lauren was terrified to be in here. She knocked it out of the park. So it just goes to show you, we bring in guests, we make them comfortable, and they kill it, and they go on to do better things than us. Like Taylor and
bottom
Lauren.
lip was quivering a bit, and I was laughing because I remember when I first started doing this, I was brought in. I was like 20, whatever. And I remember my bottom lip would quiver a bit. So it doesn't quiver anymore. It just took a long time for that to end. Atlanta United, the reigning champs.
Never heard of them.
This is the mirror image of a campaign that I hope LAFC follows. Atlanta was an expansion team, a very good expansion team. They made the postseason. They hosted a playoff game in the wild card round. They lost it at home, came back in year two, even better, even though they didn't win the Supporter Shield because of a historic season from the New York Red Bulls. They were right there, and they won MLS Cup. LAFC expansion team, very good expansion team, hosted a playoff game at home, lost it in year one, and now have been gangbusters in year two. Maybe they get passed by somebody, and then they win it. I don't know, but there's a lot that you like to imitate from Atlanta, and LAFC is kind of mirrored them across the board up to this point, even with certain players and personalities and that new club smell, which has been so good for them. So Atlanta had a horrible start to the season. I think one win in their first five, and pressure. It was interesting because you didn't hear coaches getting in that kind of hot water, but people were after Frank de Boer. They're like, well, it's not working after the great success at Tata Martino, and more so because he brings in a new system and their superstar signing. And we talked about bringing in a high-profile player from Argentina. It was Pity Martinez. He was the best player in South America based on the accolades. Couldn't fit in. Maybe starting to fit in now, but It's been a struggle. But here is Atlanta. Big win over the weekend, leaving it late to score twice from the Martinez boys. Joseph and Pity scoring the game winner. And now they are snug into second place in the Eastern Conference with all the looks of a team that could probably finish on top of the East now that they've got themselves going. So a dangerous team coming in here, big spot for LAFC. We knew this was going to be the trying time in July. This is their last game for the month. Want to end it on a high note.
Yeah, pure talent-wise, that Atlanta team looks really good.
We saw them in the preseason, and it felt like a preseason. It felt
Yeah.
It felt legit.
It felt like a moment where it was like, let's just kind of measure a little bit against, because Pitti was playing. Barco, I know, is now coming back from injury. I don't think he's going to feature in this game. I think he's been out for a little while. But yeah, here's one thing though. Look, don't underestimate this league, because everyone told me Pitti Martinez is going to show up here. He's going to easily be the best player in the league from day one. And I said, really? Don't you think that maybe he's got to have a little bit to learn? He's going to have to deal with this. And yeah, Frank de Boer might have stood in his way a little bit, but Frank de Boer expects certain things of him, and it's not just, hey, come out here and be the best player. Be the best player for our team in the way I want you to be the best player. So he sits him this last match. He brings him in. He scores the game winner and is a big part of how they turn around that match. So maybe the message has been received. But I still look at that team and they play a little slow for me. And that's by design.
It was a good win this weekend, but they left it late, missed a bad penalty, and it's not the irresistible force we saw under Tata by any means.
Yeah, and it's not the same
ways.
It's not the same type of team that they were last season, where you could say that type of team is what troubles LAFC. A star striker that finishes everything and that's up for every ball and that runs as hard as he can on every ball, with a guy like Miguel Almiron who can basically just cover 70 yards of the field in a couple of gallops and really, pack it in, and then when they need to go, turn on the jets, burn, and go past you. Those are the types of teams that LAFC does struggle with at times, right? Because we have a lot of the ball, we want to move up as a unit, and if you got a guy that can get in behind like Martinez, and you got a facilitator like Almiron that's so fast and that can pick out precise passes, that can give you some trouble, especially when you're defending a high line. You're defending with maybe just two guys, maybe one guy at certain points. But now I look at the team and I say, well, now Atlanta's a team that they want to come out slowly. They don't want to hit you off the break. And I do think this is a big match for both teams. Both teams need this match, right? They need it pretty bad. But
the East is really tightly packed.
Yeah.
So Atlanta's won 3 of 10 away games, so it's not really their forte. Still not terrible, but that East, if you hit a bad patch here in August,
LAFC
trouble.
has one regular season loss at home in 26 matches. And in matches that LAFC has played directly after a loss in the regular season, they have won both, 6 points out of 6, and they have outscored their opponents 9-2. Just put that out there. The response from whatever Bob does, whatever he says to them after a match and then leading up to the match after a loss, it works. So I would, when I look at on the balance of things, and I've been wrong because I was very wrong about the Galaxy match, but when I look at the way that Atlanta plays,
you were reluctant to get in there though. You knew there was
I know I hate
something in
predicting
play.
things.
You're
yeah,
like,
because
you're right.
It was what we saw. It was Zlatan, and I said if something weird happens, which a guy going off like he did happens. But if I just look at I think it's going to be a good game. It's two teams that like to pass the ball, like to move. They have ideas. I think from that respect, it's going to be a good game. But if I look at the two teams and I look at the response that LAFC has had being at home, and then the type of team that Atlanta is, I feel good going into this match. But I will agree that absolutely this is a moment that if they stumble, we can start to ask some questions.
We could start to ask some questions. I see. We'll have this discussion again. I remember at the beginning of the season, we had our LAFC Black and Gold show on YouTube TV. Get it today. It's awesome. But I've been filling up my my DVR. But wait, you never fill up a DVR. It's bottomless. It's like a bottomless mimosa on a brunch, except it's a DVR. So we did the show, and I said this was the game I was looking forward to the most, and it really holds true. I mean, the rivalry games are huge. But because of the attractive nature, because of the players that will be on the field, I mean, there's such a volume of talent and attacking prowess. And I enjoy the coaching sideline thing. So I really enjoyed the San Jose game with Matias Almeida. This to a little different as well, to know that, a guy with Frank de Boer, who is a player and certainly is a coach, not as decorated as Bob, but when you combine both player and coaching thing, this is a guy who must have a beautiful mind with regards to the sport. So that's an exciting thing as well. The question to me is Pitti going to break through? Because I've seen this guy, and I would agree he was a guy who was going to take over well. When you think of all the good South America, I was watching this weekend. It's been blowing me away how well MLS clubs have done bringing in players from South America. Brian Fernandez, obviously, who I think is going to be the best player in this league, maybe by 2022, 2021. Gustavo Bo.
After Carlos wins MVP this year.
Right? Yeah, he's going to be in there.
Gustavo Bo
who's already
got something.
Provided. The LAFC is going to face him the following week after Atlanta. Jefferson Savarino of Real Salt Lake. He really starting to wow me more and more. Beautiful player from Venezuela. And then, of course, a guy like Diego Rossi. But this guy is a class above with Pitti. And you mentioned Barco, and he's not gonna play. But this is a guy who's a touch above. But Pitti Martinez is a seasoned pro, and you get the feeling at some time it's going to click. His goal last week, it wasn't a thing of beauty. He was on the line, he able to head it in. But it showed something that's got to help the player too. So I'm really keen on seeing what LAFC does defensively and how much response or how much attention they put on his shoulders. But this is a guy who I truly believe at any moment can explode. Just hopefully it's not this Friday.
Yeah, hopefully not. I mean, the one thing I would say with him is he's one of the few out of that list that you named that I think is pretty close to his finished product. So I think Brian Fernandez has a higher ceiling. Jefferson Severino's never really, he's shown that he could have a higher ceiling, but we're not so sure. But Pitti, especially when you're being South American Player of the Year, I mean, that's probably where you're at. And he's 24, I believe. So the things that he is getting in trouble for with Frank de Boer are things that are probably easily foreseeable. When you're a guy that you think like, I know what I'm doing, I've got this figured out. I don't want to play defense. I don't want to do these things. He's not doing those little extra things. And I think that's why Frank sits him down and says, you're not starting this game. Because I need to get a message across. Like, look, you may be as talented as any player on this pitch, but if you don't contribute to what the team does and for what we want to do and the shape that we want to have, I can't have you out there.
That relationship has gotten better, and maybe because of things that Frank de Boer did. I would like to point this out. We see Carlos Vela on a historic run with regards to scoring goals, and maybe he passes Joseph Martinez's total that was set a season ago. At this pace, he will. But you look behind him, it's 5 goals. It's not like he's right on his bumper, but Zlatan and Joseph Martinez, 16, and Joseph could score goals, missed a penalty. He's another guy that is going to require attention, and it's good to see in the big picture a guy like that have a historic season. He had some bumps here along the way, but he's just a pure goal scorer, and I think he answered some criticism that said he can only score in the Tata system because now he's doing it with a new coach, and not far from what Carlos Vela's total is.
And he's super streaky. I mean, we saw last year. We have that chasing history page, and we kind of look ahead to see like where did Joseph pick up goals? Because right now Carlos is just a little bit ahead of his pace, but in this point of the season last year, this is where Joseph went wild. I mean, we're talking, I think it was like 15 goals in 8 games. I mean, he just picks them up in bunches, and then he'll go cold for like 2 or 3 games, and all of a sudden he'll score 6 more goals in 3 games. So you look at him, and the one thing I'll say for him is this: he doesn't get cheated. No. I mean, he makes every run as hard as he can. He's a fiery guy. I just think that sometimes maybe he gets in his own head, and that's what contributes to the streakiness. As much as the streakiness, being in your own head can help you in those moments when you're like, I'm hot right now. Anything I touch is gold. It also maybe hinders him a little bit, where maybe he presses a little too hard, pushes a little hard. But I agree with you. He's shown that he's not just a guy that gets in behind and basically can feast off of the space that's left by defenses pushing up. He's shown now that in a somewhat pragmatic system where they push up slowly, they kind of eat up chunks of yardage, hold the ball. He can score that way too.
You got a prediction?
I don't know. You got me last time. I can't believe I did it. I never
touching this one, although I have faith in our boys
I predict
in black
this.
and gold.
I'm excited for this match in the way that you're excited, because Atlanta is a measuring stick, and we want to have a good performance against a good team. But also on the top of it, I think it's going to be a really good game. To be honest, there's going to be passing. There's 2 teams that have ideas with the ball, and they're not just simply get it to one guy and see what happens. I mean, for as electric as that Galaxy LAFC game was, you're not going to show that to a neutral that has no idea about the history and everything else and say, what'd you think? Was that a good game? They're going to go, no. No. It wasn't 2 teams going like for like and just going at each other. It was just kind of, hey, let's throw it up there and let's scrap it. So I think this is going to be a little bit different in that way. I don't think Atlanta, knowing Frank de Boer and how just regimented he is, there's not a chance he's going to look at that Galaxy game and go, I got an idea. What if we just lob it up to Joseph and see if he can win the game?
That'll never work.
That will never work, and it will never happen. So thankfully, I think from that aspect, if you can watch this game in the stadium or on TV, it's going to be another one of those things where we say we need great games in MLS. We need them at least 1 or 2 great games week in and week out where two teams just show that the level of football on display can be of a high class level. I think we're going to get it, and it's going to look good.
Games on ESPN, and worth mentioning what we've been told, this is going to be one of the hottest tickets. You can check, go to LAFC.com to see if they are available. I'm sure they are, but if there are, there's not many of them. So if you watch on TV or check it on ESPN 710, this is going to be atmosphere. I think you might see some really cool people there at the stadium as well, as you tend to do from time to time.
Like these guys.
Yeah, let's rock and roll.
We'll be there. Max, you'll be off. You'll get to hang out and run around.
I will be off. I won't get to the details. I've wasted enough of your time.
Well, tell them where you're going. Tell them where you're going after the game. I did ask you to tease that for everyone.
My Catalina?
Well, no.
I'm actually going to be in Catalina.
Not personally. What are you doing? What do you have you doing after this match?
The following week?
Yes.
MLS All-Star Week. I'll be hosting the skills competition with Stu Holden. So they're bringing it back. It's a new vision. And Carlos Vela will participate. Wayne Rooney's going to participate. All the All-Stars will be there. Nani, João Felix of Atletico. There's an Atletico Madrid team. He's going to be there. Hector Herrera. Should be fun. So if you're in Orlando, Disney's Wide World of Sports Complex, come on by.
Max, you're my guy on the inside. You got to do this for me. Goalie Wars. We need it back. Start lobbying for it the second you get out there. Every time you're on the broadcast, go, hey, this is great and all, but I could really use some Goalie Wars. Maybe some Joe Cannon, some Zach Thornton. Come on.
Wow.
If you don't know what Goalie Wars is, look up the previous
YouTube,
MLS.
Right?
Yes, it's on YouTube. Look up those MLS skills competitions from like 2000.
Right, Rob Stone. I watched them. Rob Stone would be
was Stoner out there?
Did a nice job. It was tough back then. So, by the way, there's a Saturday media game, which I won't be there. That'd be fun for us to attend one of these years. But you have to be there Saturday. The game's on Wednesday. Who could be in it? I can't be in Orlando 5 days.
Yeah, we got places to be. We got things to do. People to meet.
This is a good thing about living in LA. You never want to leave LA, as you all know.
Plus, we would just re-wreck that game.
Yeah. Indeed.
You heard it here first. When that game comes out here to Banc of California Stadium, Max and I, unplayable. You're going to get wrecked.
Some would think it might be coming very, very, very soon.
Wink, wink.
We'll see.
I have no info.
I don't have any info, but, common sense would suggest next year it's coming to LA or Minnesota. But Minnesota just got their stadium, so, yeah. That's just my mind working. So maybe we'll see. Okay. All right, Vince. Good stuff.
Yeah.
We'll see you at the game. Subscribe to the podcast and enjoy the week.